Thanks everybody for joining. Just to make sure everybody's in the right place, you're in the secure file sharing and client communication for today's law firm's educational webinar hosted by TitanFile. My name is Victor Abouassale. That's me there on the left-hand side of your screen, just so you could put a face to the voice you're hearing. I'm going to be your host for the next 45 minutes to an hour. I am the Director of Business Development at TitanFile. I've been working in legal tech for about 6 years, turning almost 7 years, I guess, in January. I do run the ILTA webinar series for TitanFile. We try to do this almost on a monthly basis. I am a client-facing person at TitanFile, so I work directly with hundreds of law firms, I'm both client-facing and also on the technical side. So I know a lot about the TitanFile solution and the file sharing ecosystem, specifically in the legal vertical. So I'll be happy to share my my knowledge and experiences with you over the next hour and help answer any questions you may have. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. This is going to be the agenda for the next 45 to 60 minutes. We're going to spend just a little bit of time on the intro and current trends in the industry. We'll discuss the main benefits of using a secure file sharing solution. We're going to go through the top 10 feature list or product checklist that we often get feedback on from our clients. So this is what our clients wanted before they became TitanFile clients. We'll look at the legal technology toolkit and how TitanFile fits into that. And we'll briefly touch on how to evaluate cloud vendors before jumping into a full-on live demo of TitanFile. So you're going to get to see the solution in action today. So the first 5 pieces of the agenda will probably take us till about 12:30. And around the 12:30 mark, I'll try to be as prompt as possible. We'll jump into the live demo. Demo takes about 15-20 minutes, and we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. You'll notice in the GoToWebinar app, there is an option for you to chat and pose questions. Feel free to do those as we go through the webinar. And if I can, I'll try to answer them as we go. If not, we'll address them all for everybody's benefit at the end in the Q&A session. But I invite you to be as active as possible and ask questions as you see fit. Okay. So just a quick touch on TitanFile. So we are a Canadian company. Our headquarters are in Toronto. We serve law firms all around the world. Over 90,000 legal professionals worldwide trust TitanFile. We've got lots of law firm clients in the US and Canada and abroad. And we've been regulars at the main shows, ILTACon, Legal Tech in New York for the last 6 years or so. So you may have seen our booth there and probably met one of our team members as well. So what is the current state of the legal technology and cybersecurity world? So from the legal technology perspective, the biggest law firm security challenge today is balancing security with usability. And this is not my opinion. This is the #1 reason as respondents from the ILTA Tech Survey. So ILTA does a tech survey on an annual basis, and this was the #1 thing that people are having a challenge with. It's balancing having a secure solution with something that is usable and people will adopt. And I'm sure you may have run into some of those challenges within your firm, where there's something that is super secure on paper, meets all the enterprise requirements, but we're having a hard time getting people to use it. And so what can we do to address that? Keep that in mind as we go through the webinar this afternoon. So a little bit of stats to make it credible. The average cost of a data breach today in the US is close to $8 million. So security is important. I think we all agree on that. There is a reputational risk, and there's actually a dollar sign assigned to it. And this happens all the time, both in legal and outside of legal. Notable data breaches. You may have heard of Equifax, the credit bureau company. They had something like 140 or 150 million accounts compromised Yahoo, 3 billion plus accounts. That's B with a billion. And their acquisition price when they got bought was lowered by hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of that. So there is real risk and real cost associated with these breaches. And it doesn't just happen in the consumer world, it actually happens in legal as well. Maybe people have forgotten already, but back in 2015, lots of financial and attorney-client information, something like 215,000 entities were disclosed in the Panama Papers. The Mossack Fonseca law firm, the international world-renowned law firm, was breached, and all kinds of political turmoil happened, and financial records were exposed. All kinds of stuff happened, bad things. So the point here is that we in the legal world are not immune to security risks, and we should be taking proactive measures to make sure that we're using the best tools available, specifically in the external sharing side of things, to make sure that we're protecting our data and our clients' data. So before we jump forward, I just want to pose a quick poll to get you guys involved. Today in your law firm, it should be up on the screen right now. Today in your law firm, how do you send large files? Do you use things like Dropbox? Do you or your users, it doesn't have to be you directly, but do you or your users use things like Dropbox and those types of accounts? Do you have an FTP type solution? Are you using an enterprise tool already today? Do you send DVDs and USB keys by mail? Do you ever run into the situation where you are breaking up PDFs into several chunks and having to mail them by email, email 1 of 5, 2 of 5, and so on? You can select more than one. I invite everybody to participate, and I'll share the results so that we can see what our cross-section looks like today. We've got about a third of you have participated. Let's try to get at least 75% so that we have a good sample size. We'll close the poll in about 5 seconds. Don't be shy. Looks like we've got about 80%. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ready. And here are the results. So just a friendly reminder, you could have selected more than one. So looks like we've got, folks on the call today using a handful of different things. So that's good to see that some are using a tool already. Others are using some legacy solutions, and hopefully we'll be able to inform the rest of the group today on why it's beneficial to use an enterprise file sharing tool on our call. So let's carry on. Benefits of secure file sharing. So why do you need one of these things in your toolkit? So this is what our clients tell us. When we do case studies, success stories, what value does a secure file sharing solution bring to the law firm? These are the 3 main things that often come up. One, it's all about productivity and enabling client collaboration. So making it super easy to get stuff to and from clients. Second one, client trust. Security is the one side, the breach component that we talked about earlier, but it's all about doing things in a digital way, doing them quickly, instantly, and making sure that we're keeping everybody's privacy in mind. And the third one that everybody always cares about ultimately is saving time and money. So can we reduce the number of calls to help desk because only the IT guys or the techies in the company know how to send these big files or know how to send sensitive information? Can we stop burning DVDs and mailing USB sticks? And can we move on to a more modern platform than sending stuff through an FTP type server where, again, typically not the legal professional themselves are doing it because it's too technical and too difficult. So productivity, earning client trust, and saving time and money. These are the benefits that putting in a solution, a secure file sharing platform can bring to your law firm. So one of my favorite parts of this webinar is running through the top 10 features. And so these are in no particular order. It's not the most important one at the beginning, but there's going to be 10 slides that we'll go through, and we'll spend just a couple of seconds on each one. And I invite you to let us know if these resonate with you when you're looking for a solution, or maybe we've missed something. But this is, again, what our clients tell us are the top 10 things that they were looking for before they moved to the Titanfall platform. So let's go through them. Number 1 on the top 10 list, making sure that something that's easy to use. Again, going back to the balancing security with usability, apparently people care and they want something that's going to be adopted and actually used. So what does it mean to be easy to use? So in our clients' words, it means providing something that's as easy as sending an email. Something that works on any browser, whether you're using Internet Explorer, Safari, Chrome, and so on. Making sure that there's no downloads or installation required specifically on the client side, so that the client shouldn't have to set up anything in advance to receive stuff from you. Obviously making sure it's mobile friendly, and no Java. So for the technical people on the call today, this is a no-brainer, but a lot of solutions out there right now are still using some Java components, which are a major security risk. So what do we want in a large file transfer solution? We want to make sure it can send large files. So not be limited by storage or have to pay significant amounts of premiums because we're using it more than we need to. Making sure we can send big files, you know, in those litigation use cases, when you're sending productions, when you're working on, when you're doing e-discovery, make sure you could send anything you can think of. You know, if you have a 25 gigabyte file, can your solution do it? You still have to put that on a hard drive and send it. Ideally, you'll have a one-stop shop that can send anything you need through this platform. Number 3 on the top 10 list, performance. So this one's important because, you know, I think if I have a 20 gigabyte file, which again is an odd use case, but let's say I want to send a 20 gig file, I need to be able to do it quickly. It shouldn't have to be something that gets uploaded overnight. So find something out there that can send large files in a efficient manner, where gigabytes take minutes instead of hours or more. Outlook add-in, number 4 on the top 10 list. This is a, I got to be honest with you, it's a mixed bag. We have a lot of clients that embrace and love Outlook plugins because you get better adoption. It's right there in everybody's workflow. You don't have to navigate to a different area to send something securely or send a large file. And we've got some clients that don't like add-ins because they've had, you know, previous bad experiences with other solutions and whatnot. The Titanfall add-in works beautifully, consistently. So if you are a fan of add-ins, I invite you to try this one. It's a big one for adoption. Number 5 on the top 10 list, security. Again, this is a no-brainer. You want a secure file sharing solution to be secure. And what does it mean when we say secure? It's a very broad word. So security, to have at least the main basics, end-to-end encryption. So encryption at rest, encryption at transit, making sure that you're in a certified data center. So in the US, probably using, find something that's using Microsoft Azure as the infrastructure or Amazon AWS. And also, it would be good if you're able to own the encryption keys. You as a law firm own the encryption keys to your files. This is a unique capability that Titanfall has. Used the Hitachi Credion solution that allows firms to own their own encryption key, have the ultimate security. And then on the compliance side, you know, if you're dealing with any kind of insurance stuff, you want to make sure you're finding a HIPAA compliance solution. PCI compliance is important for the Canadians on the call. PIPEDA. And GDPR for our European friends as well. Number 6 on the top 10 list, authentication. This is something you need to look into. That, you know, if authentication, as well. To remember and deal with. Number 7 on the top 10 list. So I talked a little bit about data residency and retention in the sense that you want to make sure that if you are a US law firm, you want your data to be stored in the US. If you're a Canadian law firm, you want your data to be stored in Canada. So having the flexibility to choose the jurisdiction in which your data is being stored, and then also having a customized data retention policy that allows you to control how long stuff is staying in your solution. Ultimately, you want everything to live in the document management system, and you don't want things to be in your file sharing solution forever. So you want to be able to control that and how long things stay. Number 8 on the top 10 list, notifications and history. This is an important one. So having the ability to have history logs, audit trails to prove when stuff is being accessed, when it's being received by your clients and by opposing counsel, and also having notifications in email that say, you know, file's been accessed. So having read receipts essentially is a key component in the top 10 list. Moving on to number 9, DMS integration. DMS, document management system. So whether you're an iManage shop, OpenText eDocs, NetDocuments, WorldDocs, any of the major ones out there that are being used, ideally your solution is going to integrate with it. And so with Titanfile, the Outlook add-in automatically integrates with all of your document management systems so that you can attach files directly out of the DMS, just like you would in your regular emails. So that's a very important one for adoption too. Last but not least, on the top 10 list, the ability to be able to export stuff. So keeping a record of the audit trails, being able to export messages and files, being able to handle entire folder structures. These are some of the top 10 things that we hear on a regular basis from clients before they come and become Titanfile clients. So what does that mean for the Legal Technology Toolkit? So this is what we see on a regular basis out there today. This is not 1995, believe it or not. This is actually today. The guy at the top of the screen there with his hands in his head, he's the legal professional at the law firm that is using legacy solutions, and he doesn't have a streamlined way to communicate with his clients. He's using a combination of mail, fax, email for sensitive stuff, and things like personal accounts on Dropbox and the like. And so he's having a very cumbersome user experience. Things are taking too long, and there are security issues. Believe it or not, this is not a fictional situation. This is a real situation that a lot of legal professionals deal with on a regular basis. Putting in a secure file sharing solution is going to solve these issues, or some of them at least. You're going to be able to communicate with your clients in an easy, fast, secure, and compliant way. That is the vision, and I think we're seeing a big shift moving into this area. So whether it's Titanfile or other, a secure file sharing is going to really make things easier. It's going to make things faster. It's going to make them secure, and you're going to be in better compliance. So it looks like we're making great time here. Let's quickly wrap up the slides here before we jump into the demo. And I just want to end off the slides on evaluating cloud vendors. So I want to give you some insights from us being a service provider or a vendor. The top 4 things that we often get asked by law firms when they're doing due diligence from a security perspective. And usually bigger firms will have dedicated security folks and they have these questionnaires that they ask you to fill out. Smaller firms tend not to. So I invite everybody to do their homework when you're getting into deploying a secure file sharing solution if your data is being hosted by your provider. The 4 things that we often get asked about are infrastructure, the application, the policies, and the people. So infrastructure, when you're doing your due diligence, if your provider is not using Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure, ask for the compliance reports, you know, the SOC reports, the SSAE 16 reports. These things should be readily available and publicly accessible. And that just proves that the data center is doing things based on the industry standards, right? There's redundancy, there's replication in case of a natural disaster, there's guaranteed uptimes, and so on. Number 2, application. Our application gets tested by third-party security audits on a regular basis. To be in compliance for PCI, I believe there's quarterly tests that are done. You should at least have an annual penetration test where third-party certified experts go in and basically try to break your platform. So these reports are typically available under an NDA. So make sure you're getting that information from your service provider when you're doing the due diligence. Number 3 is policies. Every solution provider should have a set of security policies in place. Things around backup policies, breach notification. These types of security policies should be in place. And again, a good service provider will share with you this information under the appropriate NDA. Last but not least, the people. It's very important that whoever it is that you end up working with do have security experts in-house. So just do your due diligence and make sure that you're working with a trusted provider and the people are credible there. So let us jump into the live demo of Titan File. So let me just exit out of these slides here real quick, and let's go into the fun part of the session. So looks like we got the right screen up, perfect. And let's go into full screen mode. Beautiful. All right. So what you're seeing right now is a login page of one of our clients. So this would be, you would have a login page similar to this, completely branded. And again, this can be hooked up into single sign-on and two-factor authentication if you choose to do so. But essentially, you log in from your custom page, and this is what you see when you log into My Titan File demo account. So we'll come back and dissect what you're seeing on the screen here in just a minute, but I want to walk you through a simple workflow so that you have an idea of how Titan File is used by our law firm clients today. So you can see here in the top right-hand corner, I'm logged in as Victor, and I'm going to pretend to be a legal professional, either an attorney or support staff at a law firm, and I want to share a package of documents that are too big to go through email, and they are also sensitive documents, so I don't want to send them through some insecure FTP system or use Dropbox. I'm going to use a secure large file transfer system, and I want to send them to a client that has never used Titan File. So the key context here is we're going to simulate what it looks like from the sender's perspective, being a legal professional, and what it looks like from the recipient's perspective, given that that person has never used the system before, so their first exposure. So let's get at it. First and foremost, we'll go here to the left-hand side of the screen and create a new channel. Think of creating a new channel in Titan File as if you're composing an email in Outlook. There's a lot of parallels with how email works and how Titan File works. So when I create a new channel, I'm basically composing a new message or a new email. It's going to prompt me with a subject line or a channel name, as we call it in Titan File. So let's call this demo for Built a Group. Now I want to add my recipients. Again, here I don't have to, as the end user, this is not IT doing it, right? This is the lawyer, the attorney, the support staff. As the end user, I don't need to call help desk to get any accounts provision for my recipients or do anything in advance. It's all ad hoc on the fly, just like sending an email. So I just have to add the recipient's email address. So this is the address of my client. And put the name in. And let's say my client's name is Sarah. So you can see here, Sarah now appears in my communication. I can add more people, of course. So the system handles all these use cases, whether you're sending it to one person or to hundreds of people. Not a problem at all. Once you've defined who you want to send this information to, you can go ahead and attach some files or entire folder structures. This is a really neat thing here. So I can actually attach an entire folder without having to recreate it in Titan File or upload it as a zip. I can upload an entire folder structure, as you can see here, the demo folder, with its subfolders included. And there it goes, it's uploading and it's showing it to me in the expanded view, so I can now, if I want to delete certain files, I can before sending it. But that folder structure got uploaded that easily. I can also attach individual files if I want. So let me go ahead and attach a couple of separate files. And again, the system supports any file size, any file type. So you could be sending videos, you could be sending 20 gigabyte production files, anything you can think of can go through here at lightning fast speed. We've benchmarked, our upload and download speeds, and they're at least twice as fast as any solution out there. Now, once you have uploaded your files, or attached your files, I should say, you can include a message to Sarah, just like you would an email. Hi, Sarah, attached are the files from our call on Friday. Please review. Hit send, and off it goes. That's all I had to do. So if I was to just backtrack that for a quick second, it's really very simple 3 steps. Create a new channel, add the person, upload the files in lightning fast speed, and you're good to go. That's all there is to it. Now, remember when I started the example, I said Sarah has never used Titanfile before, right? This is going to be Sarah's first ever exposure to Titanfile. Nobody set her up before, nobody created an account for her. She's never used it before. So let's see what it looks like from Sarah's perspective to have received files from her lawyer, Victor. So this is Sarah's email inbox. She's using Gmail. She could be using Outlook, Hotmail, it doesn't matter. She'll have an email waiting for her in her inbox with the subject line, Demo for ILTA Group. Recall, that's what we chose as the channel title or the channel name when we set this up. So that translates into the subject line of the email. If we pop open that email, you'll notice here that there's a nicely styled email template, which tells us the names of the files that we're sending, as well as the contents of the message that was composed. Hi, Sarah, attached to the files from Friday's call, please review. So you can see there's actually no files in this email. It's simply a notification email. This can be, of course, fully branded so that your law firm's logo is in the top right-hand corner instead of ours, and your contact information is here in the footer instead of ours where I've highlighted on the screen. So fully brandable. So what does Sarah need to do to get at these files? Simply hit this big green button called Access Files, and our system in the background detects that, hey, wait a second, Sarah has never used Titanfile before. Let's go ahead and create her a simple guest account that she'll be able to use basically forever, and she'll be able to communicate with any other legal professional from our law firm now and in the future. So basically, she's getting guest credentials on your client portal, and it literally takes less than 5 seconds to set this up. And it's a one-step process that only has to happen once. And when she hits proceed to files, she's going to be taken to exactly where those files are. A lot of times I get feedback saying that, hey, we're using the solution. I hit proceed to files, and it takes them to some orientation page. They don't know where to go. They call a help desk. We have to walk them through, hold their hands. And it's a whole big thing. Now, if we could just eliminate all that and hit proceed to files and go directly to where the files are, it saves everybody a lot of trouble. And that's exactly what we've done here. So by hitting proceed to files, you can see here in the top right-hand corner, I'm logged in as Sarah. So you can see the user interface is actually identical for the recipient as it was for the sender. So what can Sarah do? So right away, there's a download all button here on the right-hand side that appears. So with one click, I can capture that entire package with the 10 or plus files, including folder structures that were uploaded. Alternatively, I can choose to download one file at a time if I want to, simply by clicking on the file name. Every time that a file is downloaded, the sender, Victor, is going to receive an email saying, hey, Sarah has access to the following file. So there's the notifications I was talking about earlier in the feature list. In addition to that, there's the history tab here, right at your fingertips. It's not buried in some administrative menu. Everybody can see this. There's an audit trail that shows you the entire activity of what's happening on the system with this transaction. The two things that our clients care most about is typically proving that something was delivered or sent before a specific deadline, typically in adversarial situations with opposing counsel, or the second one being proving that something has been accessed. So you can see here, there's a date and time stamp, Sarah accessing the individual files that I clicked on, and just prior to that, hitting the download all button. So everything is being recorded in the audit trail. And of course, everything is exportable right here from the channel menu. Sorry, let me switch to the views of the sender. There's an exportable capability here. You can export the channel, the history tab, right there from your fingertips. So aside from being able to receive files from aside from your clients being able to receive files, they can actually send stuff back to you too. So yeah, it baffles me that sometimes systems are one way, but email is bidirectional, right? You send something to somebody, they can send response to it, whether it's supporting documentation, whether it's signed documents, whether it's additional revisions on a corporate transaction. There's always a back and forth, always. And we make it super easy for Sarah to be able to send her legal professional stuff back, whether it's just a simple message, thanks, got the files, right? Or she needs to send a revision or send big files back. She can do the exact same thing by selecting the files that she wants, clicking send, and off they go. So we make it super, super simple for your recipients, whether it be clients or others, to be able to respond back either right away or at a later time to the correspondence that you sent them directly from within the secure file sharing solution. So you can see here, I'm on the conversation tab right now, and you could see all of the messages and all the files are in one view, kind of like an email thread. Everything is organized in chronological order, so you can see what's been sent and what's been received in one view. If I want to switch into a file and folder view, I can simply switch to the Files tab. And here I get a more traditional view showing me my files and folders, stripping out all the messages. So, if you're dealing, we have clients that have tens of thousands of files and folders in these channels on bigger corporate transactions. And so you have the option to work out of whichever view you prefer, whether it be the Conversation tab or the Files tab, depending on what makes sense for your specific use case. In Files view, you can organize things based on file name. You could see who uploaded them, whether it was yourself or other parties, if you've given them access, and when they were uploaded. And if you are dealing with those really complicated scenarios where there's tons of files being sent back and forth, you can, of course, use the search functionality here to look for things based on the file name. And if I showed you earlier that you can actually upload entire folder structures, right? So I can upload a folder directory directly from my computer, either through drag and drop or through the upload function. I can also create folders in Titan File if I want to, for example, to organize clients' data. So I can hit the folder button, say, client forums. So I've created the client forums folder, and I can now move something that was uploaded into that client forums folder. And you can see there it is there. So you have the functionality to work within folder structures as necessary there as well. So at a high level, sorry, let me go back to this screen. At a high level, this is how the Titan File workflow works. I was able to hopefully demonstrate to you how easy it was from the legal professional's perspective to send stuff to somebody that's never used the file sharing solution before, and how easy it was from Sarah's perspective, our client, to retrieve these files and also be able to communicate back with the attorney. And so what I was showing you earlier when we first logged in, this is the screen that you saw when we first started before we did the example. What you're seeing on the screen is different channels, different Titan File channels. So each one of these channels is with a different client, right? And I can set up an automatic data retention policy here that automatically cleans these up so that stuff in here doesn't stay forever. And a lot of our clients, probably the vast majority of them, have a global data retention policy that could be as conservative as 2 weeks, or could be as liberal as 18 months, depending on the use case, right? Some litigation stuff takes longer, other stuff is transactional and doesn't need to be up here for forever. And so the whole benefit of Titan File here is facilitating the electronic communication when you do need to send something that is sensitive, that should not go through unencrypted email, financial stuff, health stuff, privileged information, patent-related stuff, corporate transactions. So Titan File really facilitates that collaboration between you and the client, making it super easy to send stuff back and forth. And of course, we solve that large file problem, whether it's one really big file or many big files. Being able to do that in a fast and an effective manner is very, very important. So I'm going to pause there on the demo, and maybe there's some questions that come up as a result of that. And we'll answer those as they come up. But let me switch back into the deck real quick. Get out of full screen mode. Sorry, before we go there, so what I just showed you was our web application, and I mentioned earlier there's an Outlook add-in. Maybe it's wise to show that as well, just to refresh everybody's memories before we get off the demo. Let me bring that up on the screen. Here it is. Just want to show you a quick screenshot. There really isn't anything to show here, to demo per se, just to show you that what we're going to do is essentially install a button in your Outlook ribbon, just like I show here with the orange arrow, called Secure Send with Titan File. And so from the user's perspective, they compose the email like they normally would today. They include a recipient, the subject line, they attach files from directly the document management system, regardless if it's iManage, OpenText, NetDocuments, WorldDocs, whatever document management system you're using, it automatically integrates with all of those. So you attach your files directly from there or from your local computer if they're like really big files. And the only difference from the user's perspective is that they hit Secure Send with Titan File instead of regular send. And so when you hit Secure Send with Titan File, it does really three things for you. It encrypts everything so that you're sending stuff securely, right? It encrypts the connection, it encrypts the files. It facilitates the large file transfer. If you do have big files, it's going to allow that, and it's going to bypass your exchange limits, and it's going to give you a read receipt when the files are open. So that's the benefits of using the Secure Send. It's going to be secure, it's going to allow for large file transfers, and you're going to know when stuff is being opened. Everything you send through here, you have the ability to configure whether or not you want it to be in your sent items box in Outlook as well. So everything you send will be kept in your Outlook as well if you want it to be, so that you have record of it there. That's how the Outlook add-in works in Titan File, and it's extremely popular, very, very effective, really helps with adoption. So the two systems work hand in hand. You could use the web application for more collaborative stuff, and you can use the Secure Send plugin for more transactional stuff where you just want to drop off something to a outside party, whether a client or otherwise. So let me just go back to the correct view here, and we'll get into the Q&A. We're making great time. Okay, so I'll leave the benefits up on the screen. Productivity, trust, save time and money. And let me jump into the questions. I'll read them out to you and I will answer them for us. So just give me 1 second here as to process them. If you have any last minute questions, feel free to jump in and put them into the GoToWebinar and I'll answer them as they come up. Okay, so the first question is, maybe this one came a little earlier, does Titan File integrate with iManage? Yes, we do, absolutely. As I mentioned, the Outlook plugin integrates with iManage and our web application also integrates with iManage. So you can upload files directly from your iManage DMS, and as well, when files come in, you can save them directly into the DMS as well. There's a question about, does Titan File work on mobile devices? Absolutely. So we have lots of clients that, in today's world, everybody's using iPads, Microsoft Surface tablets. So Titan File works on all form factors. So any device you can think of, as long as it can get to the internet, it works, and it's optimized for the form factor. So if you're on the go and you get something from Titan File on your phone, it will you'll be able to open it and do everything you can on the web application on your phone, on your tablet. So the system is cross-platform compatible. Question from another one about document management systems. Does the system also integrate with NetDocuments? Yes, absolutely it does. Very slick and easy to use. We have lots of NetDocuments clients as well. There's a question here about licensing. So I guess the question is around, do external users need licenses? So with Titan File, the licenses are only required for employees. So your staff would have licenses. There's different licensing, there's different ways to license it depending on what you're looking to do. We have some clients that want to, get a handful of licenses to meet a specific departmental need, and others want to standardize on a solution across the enterprise, regardless if they're a small, medium, or large law firm, and have it available to all their users. So there's different licensing packages to meet your specific needs, and only employees would need to be licensed. So you would have unlimited free guest licenses for your clients, opposing counsel, expert witnesses. Everybody outside of your firm can use the system with you at no additional cost. Thank you for that question. Another question around storage. How does that work with Titanfile? So as I mentioned in one of the one of the top 10 features, a large file transfer system, it doesn't make sense if you're paying for storage on top of that. So we have removed any storage caps. We provide unlimited storage on the Titanfile platform at no additional cost. And as I mentioned, our clients typically couple that with their own data retention policy, because they don't want things to indefinitely stay on the system. They want it to go back into the document management system once the collaborative component is done. So you can definitely control how long stuff stays with that data retention policy. Lots of great questions today. One more question I see here. Is there a way to try out the system? Of course, if you just go to our Titanfile homepage, titanfile.com, you'll be able to sign up for a 30-day free trial. You don't have to put in a credit card or anything like that. It's completely free. Test it out. And when I recommend doing these tests is, start a free trial and send something to your personal account so that you get to simulate what I just did on the demo here, where you get to see how it works from the sender's perspective and from the recipient's perspective. So one way to hack it, just like I did, was to add a personal account as the recipient to simulate your client, and you'll get to see both sides of how the system works. It's pretty slick. I look forward to your feedback on that. Let me just bring up the contact slide so you have my information. If there are any additional questions, or if there's something I didn't answer, or you'd like to ask something offline, this is my email address here at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. It's victor@titanfile.com. Feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have and give you a more detailed demo if you'd like to dig into some of the additional features. But on the demo today, I was just hoping to give you a high-level, 10,000-foot view of the basics of how the system works. So I'm hoping that was educational and that was productive. And looks like we're 15 minutes ahead of time, so everybody gets 15 minutes back another Friday. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. The webinar was recorded, so I'm happy to provide a link to the recording if you'd like to share it with any of your colleagues at your firm, if anybody wants to see the information that wasn't able to attend today. So again, with that, thank you very much for your questions and your attention. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Thanks, everyone. Take care.